Hey everybody, Ryan here coming at you with another live video. This video is actually different the way I filmed it because of the fact I'm using my phone this time. My computer is downstairs and I really wanted to give it a shot just doing this on my phone. Um, Dang, I should have brought my tripod or something. Actually, let me grab a few books off this bookshelf and see if I could get this to where... All right, yeah, there we go. So, today I am talking about the movies that I've watched over the last week or so. Let's see. So, since I'm doing this on my phone for the first time, this is actually, the chat's different a little bit. So I wanted to just make sure I got the chat on. What's up, Dale? How's it going, man? So, basically, the last episode of this left off, I think it was like a week from today. But basically, what I started doing last week is going over my letterboxed diary, basically going over what I've watched over the last week. That first episode was like 2 or 3 weeks. But this one is since I got them all down here. It's 5 days ago. So this is starting 5 days ago. So yeah, it's been about a week. And yeah, so I decided to do it on my cell phone this time because of I really wanted to see kind of how it looked, how it sounded. My webcam that I use. Hey man, what's up, Chris? So the webcam that I have, it's a great webcam, like 1080p. I've used it for so many live streams. Well, the headset mic that I used to have, that I used to do for all my live streams and interviews and everything like that, my headset mic broke in the hiatus that I've had of making videos. And I haven't bought a new one yet. And so I wanted to give this a shot to where I continue making videos, wait until I get more consistent so I could buy a new headset mic. Now I have clip-on mics that I use for my phone that me and my best friend used in the podcast or the videos that we made like a year and a half ago. But they're connected together. So I'd have one here and then I'd have a bunch of wires down here because it's like 15 feet long and I didn't want to have to deal with all that. So yeah, I just wanted to see how it worked out on the phone. So obviously still, I work at a hospital, so I'm still working. But other than that, I'm still like in quarantine. Barbershops are closed. My hair is starting to get really crazy. I like to say my hair is starting to get like Al Pacino in the late 70s, maybe during Dog Day Afternoon, that time period where it's just wild and all over the place. I don't really care. I'm cool with it. I'm just chilling, so that's all that matters. I don't got to fix it up for anybody. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, so I watched some very interesting films over the last week or so. I actually liked every single one of them, but there were some really weird ones that I did not expect. Sorry, I just ate dinner, so a little bit of congestion. So 5 days ago, I watched a 1933 film called Gabriel Over the White House. And that film stars Walter Houston as just an everyday man who runs for president. It takes place as he's inaugurated. And he's kind of like a hands-off kind of president. Like he doesn't want to get his hands on anything. That's just how he is. And he gets in a car accident. He's like in a car and he's driving really fast. Yeah, he's driving. The president is driving. And he gets in an accident and he basically is dead. He's in a coma. He wakes up from the coma and he is completely different. He used to be humorous and stuff, and now he's strict and stern. And he ends up like doing things and that completely get people in his political party pissed off at him. And he ends up for the betterment of the country, he ends up basically throwing away the Constitution, adjourning Congress, and like completely making Congress like illegal, not illegal, and he basically becomes a dictator. And through that is world peace. Now that's all stuff you could see like in the synopsis, but the actual plot is some of the stuff of why he's the way he's acting and stuff like that. This movie was weird, and I gave it like 3.5 out of 4 star or out of 5 stars, and I put, wow, this was weird and bizarre, but I liked it. LOL, because I was so like, it was so weird, and I didn't really feel any kind of connection to the main character. Walter Houston made it completely watchable for me, but man, it was weird. And yes, you're probably thinking that does sound weird. It is as weird as it sounds. Yeah, so that was that. To go on with being in my Billy Wilder phase that I've been talking about, I feel like in every stream, I watched Double Indemnity on April 25th. Obviously, it's a 5 out of 5 star film for me. I've talked about it a ton, so I don't really need to go into any details. Next up, I watched on April 25th as well, 1942's Crossroads, starring William Powell and Hedy Lamarr. That's one of those movies, like William Powell movies, that I always wanted to see, basically because it was him and Hedy Lamarr, who I think she's so awesome for so many different ways. If you guys haven't seen like that documentary on Netflix, Hedy Lamarr, not only was she was like a beautiful actress, she was crazy intelligent, and she has basically invented a huge. See, I should have researched it before I did this video, but she invented something to do with like radio that helped the war. Dang, I don't want to get this wrong. She was an inventor, and she was brilliant, and she did some really impactful things with her invention. But I don't want to give the wrong information, so be sure to Google Hedy Lamarr and see what I'm talking about. So basically, this movie is William Powell and Hedy Lamarr. They are kind of newlywed. They married like months before, and he is a educator, in the way that he works with the government, but he goes around and does like little circuits, and he speaks to people about like, politics and policies at the time, that kind of stuff, and he's very respected. And he is sent. I'm trying to remember. I've watched so many movies this week. Basically, he sent some information, and it's like, you have to pay this money or else I'm going to spill the beans. And basically, he's saying this guy's blackmailing him and telling him that he's going to rat the people out, and rat him out and say, you're not who you say you are, and your name is not what you say your name is. So it's like a mistaken identity. And so basically the movie is kind of like North by Northwest in terms of like he's trying to clear his name and get the people responsible for what's going on. But the entire time you're watching it, you're left with that feeling of like there's so many little twists and turns. You're like, is he really what they're saying he is? Like these blackmailers, or is he really that? And it was a really, really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I wish, it's available on the Warner Archive DVD collection, but it definitely needs a good restoration. I saw like the best print of it that's available on TCM, and it definitely needs a restoration. It is very fuzzy, but it didn't take away from the viewing. I really, really enjoyed it. And so that came out in 1942. Next up, on August 25th as well, this was on Saturday, so that's why I watched a lot of movies. I watched 1923's Safety Last with Harold Lloyd and this was my first time ever seeing any of his films, and I really, really liked it. Basically, he Harold Lloyd plays a guy who is in love with a woman. He wants to be with her the rest of his life, that kind of thing. And he leaves town to go to the city to make the big bucks and be successful so they can marry and stuff like that. Well, he goes there and it's not quite the way he thought it was going to be. He works in a store and he keeps mailing letters back basically saying, "Oh yeah, I'm like the manager of the store." Meanwhile, he's not. And um, just a bunch of different situations involved where she eventually comes to the city and he actually has to start acting like he um, he's the manager, but he's really not. And he needs to come up with some idea to make everything come together for him. And basically his idea is to have one of his friends who's really good at climbing stuff climb this huge building, and it's one of the most iconic images sequences of the film. And he ends up having to climb this building 'cause his friend's being chased. And does he get to the top and does he win the woman? That's the question. It was a phenomenal film. I've always been hardcore on my channel about talking about Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, and obviously I love silent films. You guys who've watched me for a while, you know that I do. And for some reason, Harold Lloyd was always a little part of the silent film comedies that I missed. And I look forward to watching a bunch more of his films. But Safety Last, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it. Immediately put the Criterion of it in my wish list, and looking forward to getting that. Next up on Sunday, my Twilight Time Blu-ray of Woody Allen's Manhattan Murder Mystery from 1993 came in the mail. I watched it for the first time on Sunday. I loved that as well. I gave that one 4.5 stars out of 5. Basically, Woody Allen and Diane Keaton played a married couple, and she's really into like mysteries and all that kind of stuff, and he's not. And they meet neighbors. They meet their neighbors that are older than them, and they get on with their lives. They meet them. They have a drink with them and go back to their room. Well, the next day they go out to an event and come back, and there's cops all over the place. And apparently the wife had a heart attack, and she had a history of heart problems and stuff like that. So they go back to the hotel room. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she died. We just met her." And Diane Keaton's character is very like, she's big on murder mysteries and stuff like that. She questions everything. She's like, she was very open about her life, and she never told me once she had a heart condition, all this kind of stuff. And so she starts thinking that a murder happened. And so she goes on her little investigation, and one of her friends is played by Alan Alda. He's friends with both of them, and Alan Alda he's like best friends with Woody Allen's character in the movie. But Diane Keaton and Alan Alda, they have a lot of interest, and so they're talking about the murders together, and Woody's not really into that. And it's basically a throwback style to like the Thin Man movies, and even have some like, not Double Indemnity, but there's a lot of Hitchcock throwback to this. Rear Window, definitely, like there's a lot of throwback to that. But it was a really good murder mystery. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got the Twilight Time version of it, which is the only Blu-ray available. And it also features the film debut of Zach Braff, who you might know from Scrubs. I'm a big fan of Zach Braff, so like that was a shock. I had no clue he was even in the movie. He plays the two leads' son. He's really only in the movie for like 2 minutes when he comes back home from college, and it's just like one little conversation. Other notable performance in the movie, Angelica Houston plays a God, what is she? She works with Woody's character in some way, shape, or form. Like, I forgot exactly what she does, but basically she is set up with Alan Alda's character, so they all four start talking about everything together, and she did phenomenal in the film as well. Two more movies left. Now, on Sunday, I also watched. Was it Sunday? Yes. Sunday, I watched. Hey, what's up, Noah? Currently working my way through the Police Academy sequels for the first time. Man, I saw Police Academy when I was a kid, and I probably saw some of the sequels, but I have not seen. I don't. Basically, at this point, I can't even say I've seen Police Academy because I can't remember any of it. Now, I'm doing this stream on my phone, so I have to touch the screen to get the question or the chat to pop up. So I actually am planning on going through the Police Academy films eventually. Maybe this year. I'm not sure, but I know I think they're on Netflix. Are they on Netflix? I know they're on either Netflix or Amazon Prime, but I'm pretty sure it's Netflix. So this weekend, Sunday, I think his birthday was Saturday. I wanted to watch. Oh, Noah, I'm glad that you said, did you enjoy my classic movie collection? Can you drop or send me, maybe on the previous video before this, send me a link to your channel? Because I was trying to look up your name on YouTube and I couldn't find it. And I'm not friends with you on Facebook. I don't, or Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. So I couldn't get in touch with you. They leave on Netflix May 1st. Okay, well, I'll find a way then. Leave a comment on my previous video, because this one will probably take a little while to process when we're done, of your channel. So I could go and sub your channel and watch your videos and stuff. Yeah, that was one. I'm glad that you popped in here, because that was one of the things I wanted to say, because I had no way of getting in touch with you. And after I left that stream last time, I was like, okay, I wonder if Noah's video is up yet, because I saw somebody say something on Twitter about a new video, and I was like, wait a second. I really need to see his video, but then I tried looking for you and I couldn't find you. Watched Rope last Friday. Oh, I love it. And did my first Friday Night Ritual video. Shout you out in the video. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Dale, are you still, do you have like a new YouTube channel if you watched Rope and stuff? Or do you still have the same YouTube channel? Because I remember at one point I was subbed to your channel. Yeah, leave a link to your video that friend me on Facebook, Noah. And Noah, you can too. Dale, leave a comment under this video and send me the link to the video, because I make sure that I'm subbed to you. Because I've noticed on Instagram you have been posting that you've been doing new videos, but I haven't seen anything in my feed on YouTube. So, yeah, leave, and I'll make sure I'm subbed to you. I've been so out of the loop with YouTube, like, past year and a half, that I completely... there was one point where I had to re-find and sub a lot of friends that I was friends with before, like on YouTube, and sub to their channels, because for some reason it undid the subs. Some people I went through and unsubbed because I hadn't seen, they haven't posted anything in years, and their channels were kind of defunct and stuff like that, so I ended up deleting them. People I don't really watch anymore. So, yeah. Did you go through a period of time, Dale, where you just weren't making videos or something? I'm just wondering, did I unfollow because you weren't making content or something? I don't know. I don't really unfollow people unless their channels are, like, completely defunct. I still have some people that I'm subbed to that I literally have not spoken to them or watched a video there since like 2011 or 2012. I digress. So on Saturday was Al Pacino's birthday. He turned 80, and I had to watch something Al Pacino. The Godfather is my favorite film of all time. Tied with The Godfather 2, has been since elementary school. But I wanted to go a different route. I wanted to see something that I saw once and I liked it, and I really wanted to watch it again, because I pretty much always watch Dog Day Afternoon, Heat, Serpico, Cruising, Scarface. A lot of Pacino movies are always in and out of my rotation, anyways. But one that I've only seen once that I liked, I didn't love it the first time I saw it, but I liked it, was And Justice for All from 1979. Um, I wrote very good film, even though the tone is all over the damn place. Pacino is a god. So basically, in Justice for All, Pacino plays a lawyer who um, is just seeing how the justice system is just so corrupt and so bad, and it does not always punish the guilty and free the innocent and all that kind of stuff. And he sees all that. There's some funny stuff. There's some black comedy involved with some of the situations that he finds himself in. Um, but there's also an underlying thing going on, a conflict between him and Judge. And he is a judge who is, I mean, the movie opens with Al Pacino in jail, spending the night in jail because he was found in contempt of court by this judge. Come to find out a little bit into the movie, the judge is arrested to everybody's applause in terms of, all the lawyers and stuff. But he's arrested for rape and asks Al Pacino's character to take up the cause and defend him. And so he's going through all this stuff, trying to defend this judge, seeing all this other unjust stuff happening. Some funny, like some black comedy kind of funny. But then the drama, when it hits, it's there. It's right in your face. Pacino gives it 110% the entire film. What I mean by tone being all over the damn place is that I love a film that has a good balance of comedy and drama. Something that can be humorous, but then still be dramatic at the same time. Now, this film, there were some things in it that there's a helicopter sequence where Al Pacino gets into a helicopter with somebody, and it's so over the top. Like his fear is so over the top, and it's played for laughs so much that it isn't really played as if it's like tongue in cheek black comedy kind of way. It's like over the top, trying to give you a belly gut laugh. It doesn't work, and that's my only gripe with this film, is that sometimes when it tries to be too funny, it kind of is like, okay, is this trying to be a comedy? You know how there's some films where you're like, okay, it's a dramedy, so it's dramatic, like James L. Brooks movies. Wes Anderson's really good at it, where it's funny, but then really good at handling the drama. It's a perfect balance. But then you see some films and you're like, was it trying to be a drama, or was it really just trying to be a comedy? And that's where the tone did not balance itself out right. So like you're really hardcore into this comedy that really isn't funny. But then you go into this dramatic stuff and you're like, man, I wish it was just this dramatic stuff. That's how I felt about the movie. But I had a problem with that helicopter scene in particular because I think it slowed down the movie. It was unnecessary. It was trying to be too funny. But Pacino played it perfectly. He played the part 110%. I just didn't think that was needed. I think it was a really weird way to go with the story. There is a story with Jack Warden, the actor. His character. He plays another fellow judge that Pacino really gets along with and gets a lot of advice and stuff from. And he is a war veteran. He's kind of all in your face. He wears a gun and a holster, like when he's on the bench. It's funny. And he's flying the helicopter kind of crazy, like, he's almost on the edge all the time. And a lot of it's throwback to maybe that's how he's still dealing with PTSD from the war, and he has like suicidal tendencies. But there's a couple of instances in the film where instead of letting it be kind of like a black comedy kind of thing, like, oh my gosh, this guy's kind of outrageous, it's kind of making me laugh, even though I probably shouldn't because he actually has some problems that he's not addressing. It takes that route, but then it goes over the top. There's a scene where you walk in and you see him, and they're just going into his office to tell him, come on, let's go. And He's trying to put a freaking shotgun in his mouth and shoot himself. And then he's like, okay, you ready for me? Okay, puts the gun down and walks out. Like, it's trying to be funny, but doesn't really. I don't know. It's really, really interesting, but it was still really good. Music Man 75. Brian, what's up, man? How's it going? Jeff Messerman, what is up? It has been forever, man. We got to get together and have a Skype chat or something, or a Zoom chat eventually. Author is a frequently forgotten Pacino film worth revisiting, a different sort of character for him. Yeah, I actually watched that film in my first 24-hour movie marathon in 2012, and I liked it a lot. And I'm a sucker for Pacino. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, I know, and Jeff, if you're still watching this, a film I really want to see that Pacino's in that has been trashed is Bobby Deerfield, directed by Sidney Pollack. And is it as bad as everybody says and all the critics say that it's like the worst, one of the worst movies ever? Is it? Because I almost bought the Twilight Time Blu-ray of it because I saw it was on sale, but I didn't. But Pacino is one of those actors that I'll watch anything. Like, I own the Jack and Jill Blu-ray, and that's been a frequent joke on my channel over the years. But it's a ridiculously stupid movie, but it's funny seeing Pacino play himself in a very mocking, like he's mocking himself. And who could forget the Dunkachino, that whole jingle that he does with, for Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Dunkin' now. I don't want to get sued. But, yeah, The Cruising was another film that I saw years back by William Friedkin. That's so controversial, but I bought the Arrow Blu-ray release of it, and the film is just brilliant, but it is so controversial. Like, you either love it or you hate it, and it's just, I think it's an important film just on the outrage that it got. So, I'm a horror newbie. Can you recommend some films to try to get me into the genre? Okay, so horror films. I love horror films, but there's so many different. I mean, horror is a genre that has so many different like moods in terms of what are you into. Slashers. Halloween and Halloween 2. I love Halloween and Halloween 2. I like the Friday the 13th movies a lot. I like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. But I'm not the biggest slasher person. Like, I don't have so many slasher films. Like, I pretty much just like the mainstream ones that everybody talks about, all the main slashers. Now, in terms of horror movies, or in terms of like classic horror, I really love. Jeff says, "Dude, I love Bobby Deerfield. It's a little drive-in schlocky, but it's big budget schlock, which I have a weakness for. You sold me on that. The next time I do a Twilight Time purchase, I am buying that. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's funny because the whole every review on like Letterboxd for that movie is like, the movie sucked, but the Pacino is a god. Pacino is everything, and apparently women love him in that movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, but they just say he's just the most gorgeous thing they've ever seen in that. So now in terms of like Universal like horror movies, I love Frankenstein. I love Dracula. I love all those. And then as of like the last like 10 or 15 years, I've really gotten into like the Hammer horror films, with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. I loved all those I've seen now over the past year or so. So I think you could go for slashers. I'd start with Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and then you'll start seeing things and you'll start getting your interest in people recommending to you movies that are like that. That's how I did. Same thing with the Universal horror movies. I loved them so much, and then people were like, you need to watch the Hammer versions, and I was like, ooh, cool. So that's a huge thing for me. and I love George Romero zombie films. Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, and Dawn of the Dead are in my like top 50 favorite films of all time. I love them so much. Other than that, I'm not really big on the zombie genre. Um, you could go. There's the cannibal type horror films. Like I really enjoy, not enjoy. I don't think anybody could say they enjoy it, but Cannibal Holocaust. I think it's a great film. Very disturbing, but it's good. But really, horror is like you're like when if you see Friday the 13th, go on Amazon or even go on like um, IMDb or Google and say slashers like when you find one. That's how I mean back in the day. That's how I did it. I would go to a film book because I didn't have that big of access to a computer. In the mid '90s we had a computer, but dial up. I couldn't just go to the internet in 2 seconds. Um, it was all just by word of mouth. Now, Jeff, you're really going to be into this. Um, Growing up, and I consider these kind of like in the horror genre, even though is the Godzilla films. I love all the Godzilla films. Any kaiju type movie, Mothra, Gamera. But growing up, I always watched Mystery Science Theater 3000. So a lot of times over, um, Jeff says, on a Bob Clark kick now, horror-wise, a trifecta of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Death Dream, and Black Christmas. I have never seen any of his horror films. Um, and I actually have a little notebook downstairs that I'm writing films I need to see. I really want to watch more of his films. But as of late, over the past like year or so, I've been really hardcore into watching Mystery Science Theater 3000, and there's some shitty movies that are on there. Like terrible movies that are so funny to watch because of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And like kind of like how you said, Jeff, you're like really in the schlock. I love a good cheese fest. Terrible. Like the movie could be terrible, but I'm having fun watching it because I know everybody involved. It's like another Ed Wood. Like somebody had a vision, and it didn't come to pass like Orson Welles, came to pass, but it came to pass, and it was printed. And by golly, I'm gonna watch it, even if it's terrible. And I have watched some terrible ones, but I had so much fun watching them, and I still do. Um, I'm actually in a little break now over the past like few weeks, but I have so many Mystery Science Theater 3000 that I'm gonna be watching, and because of that, I've been watching a lot of those movies without any kind of riff tracks or or like any commentary, and I just get just the same amount of fun out of them because they're just so terrible. And to me, those are the kind of movies where I could just have like a couple beers and just sit there and just be like those are my stoner comedies to me. So I know horror you could go all over the place, but I love The Exorcist. I love Night of the Living Dead. I love the original Dead trilogy. I love Halloween. I love Friday the 13th 2 through 6. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I like Sleepaway Camp. Um, I like all the old horror films. Now, in terms of new horror films, I loved like The Evil Dead. I love The Evil Dead. I liked the Evil Dead remake a ton. Um, I loved. I mean, people said it was a horror film, but The Lighthouse. I loved from last year. It was my favorite film that I saw last year, and Midsummer was. It blew me away. It's very divisive. Some people have been like, "Oh, I hated that." I loved it. I thought it was such a beautiful film. Um, yeah. So, anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to get back downstairs and rest up. I'm usually in bed by like 9 o'clock, because I get up for work so early. Except on the weekends, that's when I stay up later. But thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot of fun. Jeff, man, Noah, Dale. It was so awesome to hang out and talk with y'all during this video. Be sure to leave those links like I mentioned, or send me the messages or whatever. And I really enjoy doing this. So basically every couple days, every 2 to 3 days, I'm going to keep on doing this, and I appreciate the feedback. You guys are awesome. I love being back into the swing of things. And I think since my first video that I did live, I've gotten more used to talking with the camera again. It took me a little while to do that. But I sent you the link to the video on Facebook. Awesome. I'll definitely check it out soon. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Take it easy, Jeff. Good to see you again. We shall chat soon. Yes. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Share it around if you want. And I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm not really one of those right now that's like looking at the views and wanting to get famous and all that stuff again. I was never really famous, but when I mean again, I mean there was a time where all I cared about was how many views I got and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of lost, that's one of the reasons why I think I lost my passion for it a little bit, is because it became more of a job, especially when I was getting ad revenue and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I still loved every single video I did, but the motives for doing it were different. And it just got real really quick. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for welcoming me back with open arms. 24-hour movie marathon for last year is still in the process of being edited. But it'll be up probably in the next like week or so. I'll get the finishing touches on it, and I'll be doing the next marathon for this year probably in the coming weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.